Get your audio capture device?
Yeah.
It's
here.
working.
Yeah, I just clicked it by accident for some
okay.
stupid reason, and now the audio should be working. Boom!
Can you guys hear us okay? Okay, yeah, we're good.
Alright. I'm getting
We are live. You can hear us. The sound will ring in your ears every time I move too close to the mic. And just talk to you softly like this, and whisper in your ear gently, and tell you that everything is going to be okay. Also, you're adopted.
Wow. I dropped that bombshell at the very end. We have a couple of critiques tonight.
Nice.
And when I say a couple of, I mean there's a lot.
Yep.
And I don't think I'll get to all of them, but let's give everybody a chance.
Take a chance, take a chance, take a chance.
I'm gonna start with the submissions I get from the Facebook group, because that's the preferred way.
Yep.
Whatever submission you guys submit from the Facebook gets to add it to our lineup. So the new studio is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
This is pretty much where talent tree classes are going to be from now on.
Yeah.
It's a permanent location. So, I mean, I'm turning back and looking at this. It's like a small classroom. What's past the divider is the Crush studio.
Yeah.
So the crew works there during the day. Johnny and I stream here in the night.
We're still night owls in a way. You know how, the best way to transition from, like, if you want to be a night owl, but then you also want to work in a regular day, you just don't sleep. So you're still a night owl. And also a day owl. Oh no. What is that?
It's a muscle.
Is that? Oh no! Who did this?
Moisted.
Oh my god!
Moisted did this. Okay, let me check the chat because I've been
amazing
looking at this thing.
This does mean no more Benny stream, guys. Unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Benny's been banned from the studio.
Yeah.
Because of his excessive trolling.
Yep.
As you guys can probably tell.
Hey, Moisted. No, it's just because now we're in a different location, and so Benny's at the studio, and so if you guys know anything, like I'm not trying to be condescending or anything, but if you're familiar with with cat behaviorism, dogs tend to be more attached to people. Cats are more attached to places. So cats are very territorial, and they get pretty stressed out if you're moving them around a lot. So we can't really take him back and forth between the studio. And so he would either have to stay at the studio or he'd have to stay at home. And it's better for him to stay at home because he's familiar with that place. And also, if he's here, there's going to be people that come here with allergies, and it's just not going to be good. So yeah. Like, it sucks for you guys, but I don't mind because I still get to see him all the time because I go home and see him and stuff, so it's okay.
Wait, who did this one?
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm getting a lot of glare, but I'm gonna work with this for tonight. I'll eventually get some lamps where you can see our faces. But Yumano's been doing some really nice stuff. This is Yumano's submission.
Nice.
I think she sent me a new one.
Yeah, the new one's crazy good.
I love cityscapes.
Georg says, "Good luck in your future endeavors, Benny." His endeavors are going to be exactly the same as they were before. It's just less because we're not as home as much. So we just kind of figure it out.
Yeah, we're gonna be majority of our day is gonna be spent in the studio here. Benny is gonna be really depressed. Or maybe he's just having a lot more fun.
Oh, Yumino saying not the one with the retarded cat, so you can pull up the other one if you want.
This one.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Not the one with the retarded cat. The one with the.
I did that at 8 a.m. in the morning while drunk. that sounds like 90% of my paintings.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you, Yumino.
Benny's gonna be fed by an accomplice. No, I'll just feed him when I get back. It's only an hour difference, so it's not so bad. And he eats too much anyway, so.
Can you see the painting, Johnny?
I do miss him a lot, though, being at the studio.
I gotta somehow see this painting to be able to critique it. Okay. So, I think starting off on just the perspective and scale, I'm gonna go straight into it because there's a bunch I need to do for tonight. Try to get to as many as possible.
Yeah.
If you guys are doing environment work, you probably know by now that perspective is king. Everything starts with establishing your space, knowing where the camera is placed, meaning where are your horizon lines. So in this case, I'm thinking the camera is pretty low to the ground. So that means your horizon line is going to be lower in the frame. It's like you're looking up a bit from very low angle. And with that in mind, this seems like a one-point perspective drawing. So I'm basically tracing from the building and just tracing the lines down. I can see that the right side of the building is in perspective. It's pretty close. Pretty nice. Let's check the left side.
Man, I want to get that book that JP had. Did you see
one?
the perspective book he had? It had like pre-drawn perspective grids.
Yeah,
in the sketchbook.
That's crazy. It's basically a gridded sketchbook, but instead of just like flat grid,
Yeah.
it has a very deep 2-point perspective grid.
Okay.
Like the lines are crisscrossing.
Mm-hmm. Moisted, just, I don't know, read some Norse mythology and you'll figure it out.
What's with that?
Actually, Neil Gaiman did a new novel called Norse Mythology. That's his, like, version of it, which is actually pretty good. I would recommend it to you guys. And if you haven't read his other works, I would recommend that as well. He's one of the best writers alive today, so.
So, Yumino, if I do the perspective check, I notice that the right side of the buildings are in perspective. They're not bad. The left side, it's not bad. It's kind of, everything is lined up. I'm checking the windows. I'm checking the where the lines go, but the walk path here, this gets a little bit wonky. Like it's not going into the one point that you have established in the building anymore. So I'm just going to copy this thing on top and then skew it. We should get a microphone mount. I think this is really close to the fan. So this is like picking up this. But there's nowhere we can really put it.
Just put it a little over here.
And I have to talk that way.
No, it'll pick you up just fine.
Okay.
Maybe.
I also see a scale problem. This pylon, this little comb here, I think it's a pylon. So perspective, see, if I warp this way,
Sick.
can you see?
That's pretty sick.
I think that's cool. I think my screen is blocking all my face. Sorry, the new setup is
It's alright,
little
Frank. If I'm on camera, they don't need to see you.
I know. We all know that. You're basically the hairy monster.
The hairy monster, yeah.
The hairy monster of Talentry Stream. And boy, is it hot in here. Another thing, Yumano, when you do these paintings, be careful with the scale here, because I'm looking at the pylon being very big here. And I don't think they're receding in the distance correctly. Or is it just a very big pylon? I'm not quite sure. If the car is this big, the sign is this big, and the windows,
It doesn't seem too bad. Pylons are like,
pretty huge, yeah?
yeah, they're not tiny.
Okay, that might not be so bad. But if I draw a line over to the first floor, okay, so it's not so bad. Get rid of all the guidelines. Yeah, wow, it's just really difficult to see with all the glare. I have to move my head around to see the values in the darks. I think your silhouette is getting better. This is a really nice shape. Your signs are a little bit too clean. I think it's better if you reference real signs and even just copy and over. I think this one is a photo, but these are looking very, very clean.
One thing that you can do that's really, really cool is if you make a rectangular selection and then paint in it and then do all the cool things that you would do to make the sign work. And then you take that layer and perspective warp it to where you want it to go.
Oh, I see what you mean. So if you were make that
Just
sign,
do that, and then you just like paint whatever you want on it, and like flat, so that you get it like nice and accurate. Then you can just warp it after. It's pretty cool.
Alright, so if I make this big ugly sign, and I'm like writing weird stuff here. I kind of look for that small little perspective. Like if I were to line up my signs, I'd go where there is a slight 2 point, so the lines would kind of converge like this. That's just like a little bit of a preference. You can keep everything flat, but I think this makes a little bit of sense. What else is missing is just the foreground.
Jin says, "Rip Japanese signage."
I think that just like you don't really need all this screen space at the bottom. See here?
Or do you?
Like because there's really nothing here.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Fernando had a question from the Facebook stream. He says, "Hey guys, how can I join the Facebook group?" The Facebook group is just is not like, it's just a regular page, so you can like it or follow it to receive updates. But we do have a Discord, and if you want to have more chances of your questions being seen, you should join the Twitch stream, because that's the thing we check the most.
I need to.
And from the Twitch stream, you can scroll down and see the different like resources and stuff we have there. It's twitch.tv/talenttree will take you there.
I don't think they really need to see us because I can't see the painting. I'm gonna try turning the light off and see if I can see the painting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just.
No, it's fine. I still think there's enough light for them to see us okay, honestly. It's a little spooky, but it's okay. Also, if you keep this screen like a blank white, that's gonna shine light on us too. I don't know how.
We'll just
just open a new tab, so it's just the plain Google tab.
Oh, because you're reading the chats anyways, right?
No, I'm reading from here. I'm reading from here. Just open a new tab.
Blank white?
Oh, it's not. You have like special background filter.
It's okay, they can see us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's okay. There's a weird lens flare going on though. It's kind of cool. It's like we're in a movie.
Sci-fi. This is Star Trek.
This is Star Trek stream.
Star Trek Talent Tree edition, and we got Captain Hall.
Captain of the hallways.
In the co-pilot.
Captain
seat.
of the broom closet.
This is much better. Now I can see what actually the painting looks like.
Of a narrow straight space. This is sounding weird.
Cool. So, in terms of
perfectly
lines,
normal, guys.
Now we can actually see what's going on. Now, in terms of lines, there's a lot of empty space here, where I think needs to be better utilized, either by putting.
I don't think Frank's gonna dab for you, Julio.
Dab? No, that's like Zabi and Denzel's.
Apparently you have a baby face with the lens flare, Frank.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
it's okay though.
I have a baby face without the lens flare, so
yeah, so joke's on you.
Joke's on you. So see if this is like a bike or like some kind of motor vehicle. Motorbike, like those scooters things.
Mm.
I can just I can use that to direct the viewer's eyes.
Is that a Vespa?
I think so, something like that.
You know, some of the electric scooters that I've seen recently don't look too bad. They look kind of like dirt bikes a little bit.
I think they're just trying to make them look cool with fairings, but really what they are is just really slow electric, little.
The interesting thing is though is like I think if you use like a similar, if Tesla made a bike, it would be like really powerful, right? Because you don't have to you don't need as much force to like push the vehicle because it's so light. It's like how more to like bikes accelerate like really really fast, the gas ones. Electric would be like probably dangerous.
They have electric motorcycles.
Yeah.
It's just not very cheap.
Yeah.
I mean the really fast ones. I think BMW made one.
I don't think it would technically be a semester. I'm referring to it as like second term, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's an 8-week term.
Yeah, it's going really well. I was definitely a little nervous leading up to it because it's like we got like the fancy classroom space now, so I was like, oh, it's whatever. But it's been going great.
Yeah, you guys should. So this studio is in Toronto.
Hey, Arsu.
East of downtown. So this is around. For those of you that know your geography and know your Toronto, this is around Jarvis and Carleton. We're gonna have just some open times where you guys can just drop in. If you're in Toronto and you want to hang out with artists, this is the perfect place to just come in and hang out with us. Because we don't just do classes here, we're also, the crew works right behind us.
Man,
during
if
the day.
Jin, if I had my way, every single thing in Talent Tree would refer to wizardry, but unfortunately, I have to obey the rules. He was saying, call it entering the second circle to go the whole wizarding thing. That'd be kind of cool. Well, but I don't know if I'd call it like entering the second circle, but it would be like something interesting and mystical sounding, just for the hell of it.
Why not? It's too boring otherwise. So, I'm trying to make your shadows a little bit darker compared to the light, because I feel like if this is a real city lighting situation, you're gonna have more of a value separation between your highlights and your shadows. What I mean is the darks here, the highlights and the darks are too bright compared to the shadows and the highlights. Like, these needs to be much more separated. I can even go a little bit more heavy-handed.
We'll get him here soon, Julio. He's asking when's Robert Kim gonna come to the live streams. We'll convince him eventually.
It'll take a little bit of work, but
yeah,
we'll get there. If you all have some faith. See, there's a lot of black here where you have the windows. This could just almost be flattened down to a shadow tone, where there's a lot of details you put into where the windows are. And those are great, but control the values a bit. Pull them away. Pull the highlight brighter, and flatten your shadow down, so that you don't have to use a lot of the blacks to carve out the windows.
Mm-hmm.
So all these, I can just flatten them down to something like this. Any surface that's not receiving light, I'm just pulling them closer together. And if I lower the opacity, you can see that the subtleties of the windows show through, but not like all black carvings, right? So it's like a little bit of a light filtering as you go into the distance. I'm not sure if you can see clearly, but notice how the top of the building in the middle have that bright light reflection, and when you get into the shadows, everything kind of just calms down and get that really flat, nice separation between the light and shadow. I really dig that kind of stuff. I like the car.
Can you dig it?
I don't think the yellow is working. If the light's on, I want to show a little bit of white. Then this kind of tells me that the light is on, because it is facing us. It's facing the camera, and if the light's on, you're gonna see a little bit of that brightness right in the headlights. The yellow is a little bit washed out, so that's why I noticed it being very dim. It's kind of like one of those 20-year-old headlights where it's completely fuzzy and very yellow, unless you're going for that. If you're not, I think this is a little bit more accurate. I'll give that a little bit of a reflection. I'm not quite sure this is accurate, but why not? Why not live a little? So, Johnny, what else has been happening with your life?
Well, just transitioned to studio, and I this is probably the busiest I've ever been in my entire life. But I feel good. It's like it's weird. It's really weird.
What's weird about it?
Well, I don't know. I feel different.
You haven't worked in a studio, like a real art studio before,
No.
have you?
No.
Even though we've been...
James says, "What's up, talented people?" Ah, clever boy.
What's up, James?
Hi, James. How's it going?
James.
Yeah, this is spooky talent tree stream.
Yeah, we gotta make
Spooks.
make it somehow interesting.
It's Okay.
Forgot to mute the Facebook stream. Let me mute this thing.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. It's very legit.
It's not a UFO.
It's
a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's an airship.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Exactly.
And we're the aliens. You just don't know.
Oh, so what are you guys excited about from E3? Because I wasn't excited about much.
Like nothing? No, I'm kidding. When you're as cynical and as jaded as I am.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing that I saw was the new Ori. That's like, I love that game. So, wow. Who's that?
Good question.
That's really nice.
It is, right? Wait, he's
Good
got
comp.
more. He's got more. Just you wait.
Wow.
Right?
Good shapes.
Hey, I remember. This is Krell. This is Krell's work. I critiqued
yeah, I
this
know
stuff before,
Krell.
right?
He came to Last Sketch Banana.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I remember. This is Krell's work. Very nice. These are, I believe these are thumbnails, though, so they're supposed to be viewed a little bit smaller. I love the value separation.
Jin says in all caps, "Hey Frank, Monster Hunter has seamless environments like you said you wanted."
Right, but when I first watched that, I thought it was a different game.
I thought it was a game that like was trying to rip off Monster Hunter and make it more generic.
So
That's what it felt like.
So we kind of ripped at it for like a good 5
and
minutes.
then it said Monster
and then
Hunter
it said
at the end.
Monster
We're like,
Hunter at
oh.
the end. I'm like, what?
He had like this cool sword, but his design, like the armor and the clothing, was just like, okay, that's really meh.
No, now that I know it's Monster Hunter, I like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because now I know.
Because there'll probably be a lot of other cool shit that they're not
what's
showing.
associated with it that could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they finally did a seamless map. How 21st century do we have to be to get some seamless map in this? I don't want to swear.
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
Up in this bitch.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna pick all the thumbnails look great. I mean, if I blur my eyes and I really
this feels like there's like the abstraction levels are very pleasing to me.
Yeah.
Because they read as stuff, but they're not rendered to be realistic. But the impression of them is enough for our imagination to like fill in the details. Not holding my breath for BioWare, neither am I. That game honestly looks like really generic. But it could be kind of fun, but like whatever.
What's that game called? Anvil?
Anthem, yeah. Anthem.
Oh. Anthem, yeah. I'm gonna probably piss off some people by saying this, but it looks like Destiny had sex with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
And had a bastard child that really
No, his cruiser's not that big, guys. It just shows up like that on the stream.
That really likes what Uncharted is doing.
Yeah, I agree with you, G York. It's probably one of the worst E3s. Like, they showed a lot of stuff, but they didn't, like... I think the absence of Last of Us was probably, like, kind of disappointed some people.
Oh, Johnny turned on the E3 thing just to watch The Last of Us.
Just to see if there was a Last of Us. You know what actually looks fun, though? Days Gone looks fun.
I thought that was The Last of Us.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, when I was watching Days Gone,
it looks like they had used like similar code
I was
or
like,
stuff.
oh shit, this is The Last of Us, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I was like, okay, this is probably gonna go somewhere. I don't see Ellie and Joel, but this is cool.
Yeah.
Then a zombie bear came out of nowhere. Immediately, it's not The Last of Us anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they went to.
Yeah, I was like, this definitely is The Last
They
of Us.
went into a very
Zombie
interesting
bear.
direction with that,
It's at least like the good thing I realized about having like so many games now that are just so meh is like the good ones are so much sweeter. But yeah. I think I'll play God of War because even though I really don't like the fact that they just took Kratos and like threw him into Norse mythology because I love God of War series. Don't get me wrong, I think they're excellent. Like Kratos is a great character in a video game. Like he's very iconic, very memorable. Like just good design ideas overall. Like everyone kind of knows him and recognizes him, even if now we feel like it's gotten a little old. I'm kind of salty because they took a character that like they kind of invented him, but it's like, you know, it was Greek mythology, and then they're like, oh, we're just gonna have him travel north, and it's Norse mythology there. Like it's kind of like, okay, that doesn't really make sense, but
I think there's more than just that.
Yeah, but like how do you just like
travel to Norse mythology?
Because they're different. Yeah, they're different. Like it's like different religions. It's like you could probably make the argument that it's like the gods are inhabiting the regions, but in each of these separate mythos, those gods are supposed to be, you know, like their domain is the entire world. It's not just like, oh, the Greek gods are in Greece, you know. It's not like that, because like Poseidon is, you know, god of the sea, Zeus is god of thunder. It's
right.
He's not god of thunder over Greece, you know.
God of North Sea or god of
go to the North Sea. Yeah, it's not. That's so. That's like for me. It's I kind of like because I love mythology, and seeing that I was like a bit like okay, whatever. But the game looks beautiful, and the voiceovers are so good, and the designs are great. I'm not crazy about the axe that he wields.
How it spin around.
No, that's kind of cool, but it's like it just doesn't feel like Kratos at all. But yeah,
I guess is because when you think of Kratos, you think of his chain.
Well, like I'd like the axe to be bigger. I'd like to have like a big two-handed axe. I'd like a big, like if you had a big bearded axe, you know, the kind that curves down like this.
Yeah, but you're talking like you played the game already.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, just little things that I wish was a little different, but I'll probably still play it and enjoy it a bit. It looks really cool.
We're not game reviewers, obviously. Yeah. We're game cynics.
Yeah.
And we are just hating on this E3 right now, which is okay because our opinion really don't matter.
Yeah. It just seems
it really just doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, like the axe just seems too like it seems like a sidearm, and it's like his main weapon. Like it'd be cool if he had it on the side there, and you use it to like hit creatures that are like in the air and stuff, and you can seamlessly go in and out of using like a small axe and a bigger axe, and like he would. You learn later on where he's got like the big one hand, like the big two-handed axe in one hand,
yeah,
and he's swinging that with the small axe. Like that would look really cool. But anyway, it's, you know. Yeah, I love the Blades of Chaos were really cool, even though they're like super impractical. I always thought those were pretty sick.
Nefties says, yes, I'm not late. Are you guys streaming from a spaceship? Yes.
You're a little bit late, Nefties. It's you're more than half an hour late, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Give me a second. Let me fix the audio from the display all. There, now you can hear.
Was there an echo?
No. I wanted to display all.
Oh.
So that they can see my brush palette and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That shit.
I don't know why you don't do that normally anyway.
Because I was being fancy. It was like, you can only see my Photoshop, so I have no chance of accidentally showing you any of my porn.
Oh, I see what this is.
Right, okay. Back to the critiques.
It's so professional.
Very. That's what we aim for, you know? Aim to be professional.
I didn't watch Nintendo E3 yet, though. Apparently, it sounded like there's some good stuff. Well, I never played like a lot of Metroid previously, so I'm just like, whatever. Like, I'm sure it's a great game. But I only know what I know, which isn't much. I'm not sure how I feel about the Shadow of Colossus remake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it didn't it looked. You could tell it was the same game, but it didn't feel like Shadow of Colossus to me. I don't know why.
No, it feels like Shadow of Colossus. It just.
I don't know, man.
It's redundant.
Maybe it's because the music that they used for the trailer or something. I don't know what it was.
It's exactly the same as Shadow of Colossus. That's the problem. It's
What?
not.
I don't know. I felt like it was something different. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. Like, I think it's great for people who haven't played it yet.
If you
I
haven't
think if
played
you've
it,
already
you
played the
definitely-
remastered version, then it's like, it's kind of redundant. But you know, if it makes more people like the franchise, then great. And FD says, are we talking about E3? Fuck Bethesda. I forgot what Bethesda showed. Was it like... Oh, it was Skyrim VR, I think. Skyrim has not aged well. It really hasn't aged well.
Mosey, can you answer the phone for me and see what this person wants? Because I'm streaming and I didn't put my phone on mute. And I have to think about this painting. The lighting is really good, Corel. The lighting is really, really good. It's so good that I can't use my normal methods to just like, hey, look at the perspective. Hey, look at the things. I actually have to just relax and push paint around a bit to see what would I do, you know? Because you're using the shadows and the midtones and the highlight, I think pretty well. Right?
Mm.
I mean, there's some textures that gets blended, but then this is a thumbnail, so really no need to be too careful about all that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're doing lighting, just first of all be careful with the lines. Second of all, be mindful of how these tones like mix together. How they overlap. You're basically painting with 3 tones. All the textures don't matter until you can effectively create the lines that make this piece appealing. I like these little guys. They are reciting right at the point where these lines converge, which is a little artificial.
发票，本家的发票，
Mm-hmm.
他需要签东西，在哪里拿一张发票
What? Oh, I put it in my bag.
？OK。
That's weird. Your Twitch thing jumped all the way up.
Jumped. Oh yeah, it does that. It's probably because I was clicking on it or something.
Arsu, the background of the webcam is different is because we're in our new Talentry studio.
Oh, are people wondering why the backgrounds are different?
Yeah.
Because we are abducted by aliens.
Lol, Yumino's funny. She says, nothing. Battlefront 2 looked great. Yeah, Battlefront does look great. The problem is when you start to play the game.
Battlefront 2? Is that the Star Wars game?
Yeah, it's funny how people are actually like they were able to justify making another one because people are gonna buy it.
Right,
And
it's
it
because
was
hey,
terrible.
by the way, our first game didn't completely disappointed, but give us another chance and we'll give you another one.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are psyched about this.
I'm pretty sure it disappointed more people than like people that thought it was good.
I can shit on it because I bought it, and then I played it, and then it was like, okay,
It looks beautiful.
it's a 5-hour game.
Yeah.
Move on to Corel has a whole bunch of these.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 also disappointed me. It's like they're trying to get the game is starting to feel more like an app game or like a mobile game in a way. Like it's more streamlined. I really miss the customization of Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is my jam. 3 was good too. But 4 had like a lot of interesting weapons and customizations. And also you know what the biggest problem with Battlefield 1 is? They got rid of hardcore mode. So you can't snipe people with one shot. That pissed me off.
Battlefield 1.
Yeah. Hardcore mode is the best thing. Because the bullets do a lot of damage.
Uh-huh.
So you have to play very carefully. You can't just like walk in somewhere. Like it's a lot more realistic. But then they were like, oh, we're just gonna get rid of that because I guess people don't like. How hard is it to add an option where your bolts do more damage? Like, come on.
You're hating because that's the
Like, do you
only
like?
mode
Do you even
mode
have
you
to
play.
program that in? Like, come on.
Yes, you do.
I know, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I don't know what you mean. Johnny
Like-
is a pseudo video game programmer in the same way that I'm a chef.
yeah.
Hint: I'm not a chef.
But like, how hard do you think that is to do to make like something
I
do
don't
more
know.
damage?
Maybe someday we'll get a game designer, a game programmer
I'm sure
in here
they,
on a stream,
like-
and you can ask them about
Yeah.
it, and maybe we'll like just we'll get GG.
I feel like 3 and 4 were super similar, but maybe I'm crazy.
I push paint around.
Oh, for community, yeah, whatever. I don't care. For me, I would just play like hardcore assault with a bolt action sniper or something like that. Like, I don't know. I never played like seriously like more competitively in Battlefield. It was more just like for fun. The only games I got like more serious with that I actually put like a lot of hours in was I think I played a lot of I know you guys are gonna hate me for this, but I played a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops. And it was actually a legit fun game was the last Max Payne. The multiplayer on that was really fun, but it was kind of broken because if you dual wield pistols, you're basically OP.
You're talking about Max Payne 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that game. You might notice that I'm jumping between a few paintings. That's because I'm warming up. And I
Yeah,
can't-
that's what I'm saying, Jin. Is like, it's like I'm pretty. It feels like for me, like if you have your own game engine that you've created for a game, and like to go, like I'm pretty sure they already have the programming set up where you can go and adjust little things like that, like adjusting bullet damage and health, and even I would imagine even stuff like running speed or like lighting and things like that you could tweak it.
yeah, it
pretty
shouldn't-
easily.
It shouldn't be too.
So I'm pretty sure they have all that like in there, and when they game test it, I'm pretty sure they play around with variations. I don't know. I would probably still be playing Battlefield 1 if they had hardcore. Because the maps were really nice. But yeah, it felt like a little bit monotonous after a while. But not nearly as monotonous as Battlefront. That was like... ugh. And there's no accuracy to the weapons.
This stream is about shitting on video games.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Is Johnny shitting on video games? I think I'll change the title after the stream is
Yeah.
over. This is not about critiques. Yeah, Human, this is a really nice piece. I like it a lot.
What happened to webcam? Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh, because they can see all the screen, but not the webcam. Let me switch back.
It's okay, they don't need to see us all the
Yeah, you
time.
did too. How else are they gonna see my wicked head movement?
Oh, that's true, it's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Frank was dancing in the studio a couple nights ago. You guys missed that.
That was what?
We actually had last night we had a sketch jam here with JP, or John Polidora. Goes by Norse Chowder online.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that guy is so cool. Jeez.
That was the
It's like,
coolest.
are
3
you
days.
as cool? That's like the scale of cool people. There's like not cool, and then the top will be like a 10 is like JP, and if like, are you as cool as JP? Probably not.
No. Yeah. No. That guy. I had so much fun just hanging out. Like I don't even normally like to hang out with artists, which sounds weird, right? Because we're all artists here. But JP is a different breed of inspiring. Like everywhere we went, he pulled out a sketchbook and started drawing, and he got more people to start drawing with him. And it's really nice for him to come into our studio and draw together. It was just a really fun time hanging out, you know. Like Toronto is like we've been here forever, but for JP it's his second time here. So everyone, the Toronto artists, we just went out, have food, we went barbecue. What else did we do?
I haven't met Sam Nelson, but he did come to Toronto for a schoolism event. He's pretty legit. Like his understanding of lighting is crazy.
And JP gave not everyone gave people like original sketches. Like he just drew them in people's sketchbooks. Everybody's going crazy.
Yes.
And Medieval Times was fun too. We went there. It was my first time. I never expected anything. And then when the choreographed fights started happening, I was whoa, because everybody's cheering.
Yeah.
The swords clan really hard. They hit really hard. Sparks.
Yeah,
fly.
yeah. Arsu, he used to be Blizzard guy for a long time.
For like 10 years. Okay, is Moistest in the house? Moisted?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moistest in the house. Okay. All right. I've warmed up a little bit, and I'm gonna take a look at this piece by Moisted.
Hello. Greetings. Good day.
Yeah, JP is special. I love JP. His real name is John Polidora, but
It's a pretty cool name.
it's a really cool name. And
Just like rolls off your tongue.
he's a really cool dude with a really cool name. Moisted. My complaint right from the beginning is that like this drawing, the painting, everything looks good. Like it I can tell what's going on, but you need to simplify it because you're not making lines here. All of your lines are fuzzy because of the way you painted this. What I mean is you're kind of like scribbling over the lines, and it's making all these lines not as confident. Like they're kind of doing this,
Yeah.
where I want lines that has energy. Like this cliff face, straight down, come out like that, go long, and then you have to also find your horizon line, which I think is probably somewhere over here. Even in the organic,
Yeah, and if you can't find your horizon, you can look for your zero dawn.
but like you know that your ground plane is going to be the most important plane that you establish because it's going to lead
Yeah.
back into the distance, and the mountains in the back, they're going to be smaller like this. And once you decide how that contour is going to go, you're just going to make it like that. You're going to make it solid instead of scribbling over it with the transparent brush too much.
Yeah. If you
Because
can't
you're-
make it a solid, you can make it a snake.
No, good morning, Johnny. But when you make the mountains where it's under shadow, you make this simplified and make it one shape. You're going to be able to have a lot better lines. So I'm just gonna try, even though I'm using
Yo, Chen Bear Pig's in the house.
Chen Bear.
Chen Bear.
Yo, Chen, do you know where we are?
Where are we? Cool guys don't look at explosions. They blow things up and walk away. Do you know that song?
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
that's a good song.
A bit disappointing.
Yeah. Why did you think I didn't know?
I don't know.
You
So,
don't-
there's
you don't know
sometimes
if I
obvious
didn't know?
things I don't know, so.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's a lot, actually. Not even just a little.
So, Moista, take a look at this line here. Wait, let me get this. Take a look at this line here. This is what you have right now, which is a lot of different directions everywhere, right? It's very, I would say, trying to be detailed. You're trying to do a lot with the raw textures, where in this stage of your painting, you should really be focusing on just how the lines work. So you have these lines, you have these lines. You really need to make your lines longer and make them tell a story. What I mean is, if you have a horizon coming out this way, then how it cuts, it needs to be just a little bit like straight on and confident. So you have to force yourself to make that decision on like how this line is going to converge. Am I going to make steps? Am I going to make cliffs? How is it going to overlap? How is that shape going to make the canyon? So
Yeah.
it's basically by drawing your forms in with shapes and lines, can you start to get the form of the mountains.
Mhm.
So what I'm gonna do here is just by picking from your canvas, like your colors are great. You just pick
Yeah,
from
think
the
of
canvas.
think of the outline, the outer edges of the form as line, moisted. So like when you're starting off your thumbnail, you can sketch it in line, and then those lines that overlap the forms that are in front of other forms, you can usually make those edges crisper, especially if it's rock surfaces. And I would say a really good way to figure out how to make this interesting is just look at how other artists do it, especially master painters, because there's very few people alive now that can paint like really, really good environments like a lot of these guys did, especially Russian painters. Those guys were like, geez, they're crazy. There's a few really good American ones. I think Thomas Moran, he's exceptionally good with his shapes. But yeah, there's a few more. I don't remember all the names.
But you see, the moment you start flattening your shapes, it forces you to make decision about your lines.
Moisted Albert Bernstadt is really good as an artist, but for a study, it's very complicated. So I would do something more simplified. I would look at artists that use bigger shapes, more value grouping. Because he puts like detail everywhere, so it gets confusing pretty early. Unless you're being really, really focused on the right things, it's going to be hard to study his work.
Oh, you mean detailed?
Yeah.
You could just gotta be careful not to copy the details, but look past that and
Yeah, and
analyze.
it's very hard to do with Bernstadt because it's crazy. He puts like specularity everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's nuts.
I want to make this building taller.
James
than
Pike's
a
really good.
mountain. Yeah, James Pike is.
There's very good digital environment artists that you can look at, for sure.
When you study them, don't just look at one piece. Look at a bunch of their pieces and get kind of like a overall analysis on how they do things. Because you look at one piece, you're really not gonna be able to dissect everything that's like a artistic decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's random. Like different pieces look different, right? So you're not gonna get something that's really solid. But if you look at a whole bunch, you start to see a pattern.
Yeah.
And from that pattern, you can start to learn their tendencies. Like some people paint opaquely, some people paint more freehand. Based on your preference, you can choose what to learn. All right, so hard brushed everything. I think I'm gonna just take a little bit of time to push back my atmosphere. See, after you use the hard brush, it's very fun to go in with the soft brush and try to do gradients, do atmosphere, push things back.
I would say, Arsu, it's better to temporarily focus on one at a time. It's good to switch back and forth, but give each one some breathing room so that you can get into like a nice kind of workflow and mode of thinking that's going to make you more productive.
Right, so basically you need repetition to be able to spot a pattern. You need to do a whole bunch.
And the patterns in character design are quite different from patterns in environment design, even though the fundamentals still apply.
The fundamentals are always the same.
Yeah.
The art's fundamentals are like the music scales. You can't really invent new things without understanding the basics.
Yeah. Okay, blackout for a second. It's okay. The lights come back on and we're like gone, but the painting's still going.
Creepy. So, Moist, if you're still here, look at how there's a lot of information here. Like there's a lot of texture and mixing going on over here, where if you know the direction of the light, you can just simplify all this and have it two-tone. And that might actually look better than trying to do too much. I actually don't like this line at all, which is why I'm going to use the selection tool to redo the sky, and that will give me a new line for the silhouette, because the clouds are going to look different.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really use rotation on brushes that much. So like if it works for you, that's fine. But I feel like if you think about your shapes the same way you think about line, it's going to be a lot easier for you.
Just trying some stuff, trying some lines out, simplifying the shapes, and getting some lines. I mean, I didn't really change anything in terms of design. It's just forms. That's why you still need to struggle with this a bit to get the full story to read.
They manage the budget by paying their artists shit, Umino. That's how they manage it. The amount that artists in anime get paid is depressingly low compared to other industries.
Even comic?
Comic might be similar, but I think comic book artists get paid a little bit more.
Wouldn't art just be pretty depressing then?
Yep. Well, some in some industries you can get paid pretty good. In concept art, you can get paid decent rates. Depends where you work, though, and you have to be really good.
Yeah, the bar of entry just got higher, and it gets higher every year.
Yeah.
So basically, to get hired, you need to be really good, and you need to be like almost much better than the people that are hired already.
Yeah.
So you gotta like take their jobs away from them so that you do their jobs.
Moisted, you should work on the detail in your painting when you've solved every other problem.
Solve the lighting first. I'm really scribbling here. I think I should stop because I'm not making any better. My decisions get worse when I don't think about it. I'm talking too much.
You gotta zoom out.
Yeah, basically. This is me messing it up
All right.
royally.
Moment of silence.
No, it's okay. You don't really need silence. I just need to be.
There's definitely a hierarchy, Moisted. Big to small, always. And you'll find you actually don't even need to detail things much. It's the implication of detail. And it's placement of detail in the right areas. So always figure out your big shape and composition and your eye direction. So if you haven't solved the two problems of structure and lighting, and there's several problems within these that you need to solve early on too. So structure would be line, perspective, all these kind of things. This is the first thing you solve. The next is solving value and value hierarchies, which relates to lighting as well. If you haven't solved these things, you shouldn't be going in and trying to detail. Even then, there's other stuff you can play with before that. Color.
Composition, eye direction.
Yeah.
I can go down the list, but it wouldn't really mean anything because I have to show you each step. To jump over these steps and do detail is really, it's really going to cause trouble because it's harder and harder for you to solve the problem.
Yeah. Basically, if you're looking for something to study, for this, do a lot more thumbnail comps with a flat brush, kind of like what Frank's going over with now. And keep it to 3 values or 2 values. And just do hundreds of them, and you'll get way better. Like, you'll surprise yourself. But a lot, like, if you do them or not is up to you.
Anyways, I messed this up. I guess I should probably.
Aluminum, you can put perspective grids in your thumbnails. It's not terrible too, but if you're, I'd say it depends how strong your understanding of perspective is and how much you can wing it. So if it's a weak point for you, I would say use a grid a little bit more.
I think I'm in the camp that says even thumbnail should have perspective.
Oh no, I think they should definitely indicate perspective. But
you're using grid.
Using grid is more of if you're very comfortable with it and you're very good at indicating perspective with your line. Like, you can visualize it strongly enough that you don't need the grid as much for the early stage because you're thinking more in abstract forms. But I think it's not a bad idea. I would say do both. I think practicing abstract comp is very good because this teaches you about shape relationships and value relationships.
Lines.
So,
and
yeah.
Where are people going to look? Where's your focal point? Where you're supposed to detail? Because when you paint environment, you cannot paint every rock and every tree and every texture. That's just not how it works. Instead, you're painting an impression that give people the idea of that. Oh, this is a rock. Oh, that's a tree. So you're not painting the tree. You're painting a representation of the tree, and the viewer of your painting is going to have to make that tree in their head. in their brain.
Yeah. I would say if you were gonna Blackguard, if you're gonna try to place an importance on either VR or 3D, they're both very related. Like, VR is basically like 3D is used for VR. So like, I would say you don't necessarily have to know too much about VR to be able to adapt to it, but you have to know 3D because that relates to it anyway. Like,
I'm gonna save this. And this
I would say if you're a 2D artist and you don't use 3D, you're making it hard on yourself. You don't have to. You can work in the industry just fine without it, but it's way easier with 3D.
Oh, hey, this is a piece from the Discord.
Yeah, nice shadow grouping on the
So,
right.
I do take critique from the Discord. So if you post in the critique session, if chances are like a day or two before the stream, I will pull from it. Let's see who's this from. Fish Girls. This one from Fish Girls. My critique in the Discord, I said that the lighting is very nice, but the rocks on the right, they don't read as anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just assuming that they're rocks, but in terms of forms and lines, they're not doing anything. So right now, if I trace the lines, see if I just trace what the lines are doing, they're really odd. Like there's not really like a energy carried through, and then the shadow is a little wonky as well. Just generally, they're not doing anything for the composition. So see, I can either make this left side like a distant mountain in terms of design, and my make this the horizon line, have it come up through here. And have this rock cut through or something, but but when I draw these lines, I'm making decision. This is hard to reason with because these lines are not really pointing at anything and they're not making forms. So my suggestion is really to sketch over, to draw out your composition as if you're doing like a line drawing, as if you're doing a thumbnail. This is your focal point. This guy at the 1/3 point to the left is your focal point. And from that, you get to grow around him, design around him an environment that can support the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, big to small, I'm just going to flatten out some areas because there is no definition here, there's no form here. Then I'll have to work on how am I going to make the shapes read while this guy is just standing here.
Mm.
This is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
Are you gonna do a 3-value comp breakdown?
I
Because
think
you can do
so.
some juicy stuff with that shadow grouping, the cast shadow and the form shadow into one, and then use 2 values in the light.
2 values in the light if I make one big shadow grouping,
Yeah.
right?
So I'll keep the shadow really simple and have the detail in the light with just 2 values. But I don't know, like that's here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Now it's just a decision on what's the line I'm going to make.
Yeah.
on how am I gonna make the shadow tell a story. Because if I make a line like this, suddenly that's an energy. Suddenly that is a compositional element. Making the ground plane kind of cut in a bit. What is it that I'm going to put in the foreground? I'm not really sure, but I just want to play with the lines.
Mm.
When I'm in doubt, I should really just make the brush bigger and work big to small. If the lines work, you can always decide what to put there later. Like if the lines point towards the right areas.
It's a bunch of like people talking about random art stuff, and then Nefties is like, "Damn, why is rotisserie chicken getting more expensive by the days?" Oh boy.
It's an important question. Nefty is always asking important questions. Really make you think, you know? I don't like any of these lines. I don't like any of those lines at all. But I'm trying to make
I like this.
Trying to
Go
make
if you
noise.
take the layer off.
Mhm.
I like the idea of something coming around like that. Just this very simple,
But
high
the s-
direction.
The scale is
sweeping
off.
around. Yeah.
Scale is a little off. Hard brush has its limitations because it doesn't blend at all. Most of the time when I'm using a hard brush, I'm just trying to create big blocky shapes and then see if the lines can make something happen. So it takes a while to find a good composition because I'm going really, really fast.
Moisted, I think there's too many to name. But I'd say that I don't know, I think it comes back to perspective and values, or structure and values. Those two are really big.
Perspective and value.
Yeah, or structure and value. Like he's asked, Mustard was asking, what are the most common mistakes you've seen so far from junior artists?
Oh yeah, perspective.
Perspective is a huge one.
You can't get away with perspective. If you have a perspective error, you're suddenly, immediately not pro. You're so quickly not pro. Even pros that make that mistake are suddenly not pro. Because you can't make perspective errors. And you shouldn't, because perspective is like lesson 1 of environment art. And if you're having trouble with that, just draw a grid.
Yeah.
If you use a grid and your perspective is still off, then you need to draw it more. So I messed this up. What I'm really trying to do is just flattening out things and use that light direction to carve out my rocks. This shouldn't be like that. Nope. And based on how these shapes come out, I can decide the shapes of the rock, what kind of cliff they look like, what's the distance, all that stuff can be adjusted later on. At first I just want a big glancing feel of how this piece looks. What are the lines doing? So there's a bit of this happening. Energy pointing towards all over the place. It depends on your design. You can choose to put in things that it's more recognizable. I don't have anything right now, so it's just gonna be rocks.
Moisted asks, aside from the art theory, how did you guys meet each other? Who are you asking?
Save this.
Oh, I'm friends with a guy that used to work with some of the Crush guys before, and when they were doing an in-house mentorship a few years back, and he basically was like, "Yo, they're doing this thing. You should check it out." I was like, okay. So I sent him my stuff, and then, yeah. That's the short version. Jen says, one day, Frank put out some cat food. Benny came along and Johnny followed. I just followed Benny around.
How'd you guys find out the truth? So this is another Corral's thumbnail, and I'm going over these quickly because Corral submitted a few of these, I think 4. All of these have potential. So in my demo here is basically I'm trying to problem solve eye direction. So this, the face over here on the top, it's catching a lot of attention because I recognize that as a face, and normally when you see a face in the picture, you're gonna look at it. So I made it a little bit bigger so it's not so close to just the top frame. And your lighting is really nice, so I'm just gonna keep this lighting situation simple, to the point.
All right, later, Moisted.
This is very nice. Yeah, thanks for submitting your work in progress painting, Moisted. Looks good.
Yeah, Yumino, I can post a photo of him in the Discord if you want.
See, I'm looking at where you can make a little bit of silhouette, like the lines will intersect with this subject, so that you get a little bit more shape and line to work with. When the tones blend together, you're not going to have any readability. But because we're looking at this, and this is the actors, it's better if we use more shape and lines rather than texture to describe them. And also this guy, I'm going to give him, just make him a little bit more, a little bit darker and visible. Now you have this kind of wavy curve going into this direction, and this face looking down that direction. It makes the composition a little bit more harmonic. Cool. Harmonious. My English. Harmonious?
Yumino, use reference too. Like if there's stuff that you're not as familiar with in terms of drawing or painting, just reference it. Or do a bunch of really quick preliminary studies, like spend like 10 minutes on each of them, and then use that information for the painting.
Okay. This one is trolley. Brush. Overall, I think this one is not bad. I actually like the composition of this one a little bit more. It just feels like the lines and where you're looking at, it feels a little bit more connected. This is a little bit off. This is like, the lines are like what I'm looking at is a little bit all over the place. First, let me get rid of that muscle elf.
That's the best part. Somebody don't like them muscle elves.
And make some cloud shadows.
Oh yeah, throw some of that shadow on there.
What I'm talking about simplifying your shadow is that you have a lot of texture going on. And I don't think you need all this texture. You notice that if I flatten the shadows, they actually look like they actually look fine. Like the shadows, when I flatten them, they just look like the underside of the rocks. So I don't need all the texture to come out. I can leave them where the lights are, where the lighter shapes are, and try to group together my shadow values, like so. And because your values are good and your colors are pretty good, when you just group together some of the shadows, things look fine. Maybe that's too heavy-handed, but you see my point. Like, all the textures are now just in the midtones where the lights hit. And by taking away some of the shadows, I'm actually giving definition to the rocks. So basically flattening out parts to make other parts stand out. You can flatten all the bits under shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do this for every painting. You'll see the difference that it makes. Is that the shadow and the light are completely in different zones. They're in different value ranges. This makes your painting readable.
Aluminum says, "There goes all my hard work on the texture, gone in a few fill strokes." That'll learn ya.
Don't fall in love with your textures, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in the light, you can have some variations of where the lights hit. It's okay. I don't like it. That. I don't like what I did.
Jen says, "Frank the Articutioner."
I tried to make the cloud have a line too. Actually, you guys are gonna have to forgive me. Like all of these critiques, I'm just trying to explore. Like I'm not saying that my option is better, but I'm trying to give you the tools that you can do this and explore in this way, flattening things out, trying to figure out lines. Like basically, I'm gonna use smaller shapes in the distance. Bigger shapes as it comes closer. But by trying this, it doesn't automatically make it the right decision. It could still be the wrong decision, but we gotta try it to find out whether it works.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing this by yourself, you should really look at references. Like references for the cloud, references for the mountains, for the skies. Reflection for the cloud.
Whoosh.
Yeah, like without references, it's going to be pretty hard to push closer to reality. Keep the light consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put too much details in the shadows. Keep your value separations clear. Really think about your lines. And that's pretty much all it is for this piece. I mean, details, your textures are great, but just don't need it anywhere, like everywhere. Like so. Yesterday was really fun how JP and everybody came over
Mhm.
after the barbecue to just draw and chill. I think, Johnny, you're planning on doing more sketch groups, kind of just at this location. That's
Yeah, just more drawing stuff. People just chilling and drawing and talking and, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we wanted for Talent Tree, for this
Yeah.
space. How it was planned, and it's just really nice to see people naturally taking, like, using the space how it's intended to be.
Mhm.
Like before we put this together, it's just all hypothetical. Like, oh, of course people are gonna sit here and draw and then chill on the lounge over there, look at art books, sit on the carpet. But actually seeing that happen, it proves that it makes everything worth it.
Yeah.
Like we really went through a lot of different hoops trying to get this place set up, and it took a long time. And to be honest with you, we haven't even celebrated yet, like legitimately.
Yeah.
Not because we weren't excited, but because it's so. It feel like
Our lives continue.
Yeah, it feels like
And it's gotten busier
just,
now.
We've just gone and done so much just for this to happen that all of us are kind of jaded halfway between our efforts. But it's nice. I'm saying that it's really, really fun.
Nefty says, I wish I could visit you guys, but I'm allergic to Canada.
It's really, really fun. It's really nice. And JP is my spirit animal. And I love that guy.
Texture and detail is better to be defined in select areas. So there's a few different ways you can go about it. You can either keep your detail in the light. You can keep your detail in the shadow and blow out the light in comparison, or you can leave your detail along where the shadow meets the light, which is my favorite. But yeah.
This is about what I'm gonna do for this one. Not so much has happened, but just like a small tuning of the lighting and bringing that water up, because this water right now, if it's like that, it doesn't feel right. That's why I'm playing around with it.
Can you get a little more of that reflection of the mountain onto the water, just a bit?
You think that it'll reflect? Yeah, you know what? That it will actually, it probably will reflect.
Especially lakes, because the water doesn't move around a lot. It's very like more mirror like. Ours too, where we'll have like more events set up. Besides the sketching event that I do, we're gonna start to probably have just like a weekly hangout where artists can just come and chill. The sketching events will be mostly here, but then we'll also do some in different locations. So like to mix it up a bit,
Yeah.
we'll go to like different parks or areas and stuff.
Right now, our classes are all in the weekend. Robert Kim is teaching a fundamental digital painting class, walking you through the painting process of developing a thumbnail, taking into color, what techniques to use.
Mm-hmm.
Algerics, man, Al's class is so fun. I sat in at Al's class and
Yeah.
I was doing these
I'm considering
gestural
checking it out.
drawings,
Yeah.
having him critique mine. Also, Justin's class is starting in July, so that is next month. Design for animation. So if any viewers in Toronto that has interest in animation and would like to learn how to design characters, really like exaggerated animatable characters, Justin's class is going to be a real jam.
Oh, Yumino, if you want crit and you want to do something different, just do character thumbnails. Because I don't think I've seen you do that. Maybe I'm wrong though. But that's never hurts. Or even I'll crit composition thumbnails if you guys want too.
Yeah, why not?
Doesn't have to be just like pure character art.
Illustration.
Yeah.
Grace submitted one in the critiques. I
Mm.
think that would be right in your alley.
All right.
And Grace is a student in Al's class. Okay, so I have 15 minutes. I don't think I'll get around to finishing this one. I might have to leave this one to next week.
How many more are there left?
There's just this one.
Oh, so leave this one. Do
Yeah.
do something else.
There's just that one. And this is Humanos that I've been kind of going on and
Yeah.
off on since the beginning of the
Just
stream.
Just do some Frank painting.
I'm gonna show you the before and after because
Nice.
I wanted to show you how there needs to be a focal point in the car. Putting that highlight in there
See you later, Arsu.
makes that the center,
Mhm.
make the focal. And then you need the foreground. You need a little bit of foreground
Yeah.
to break up the shapes. I still don't think you need all of the road here in this depth. I think you can cut off like a good chunk of it and the painting will still work.
Nice.
Cool. Let me actually take a small break because I think we
Yeah.
can problem solving on different
We can just
paintings,
talk
like
for the
just
rest of the time.
shuffle-
We don't have to
shuffling
paint.
between paintings
Yeah.
and trying to be like, oh, solve this, oh, solve that. And a
Yeah.
lot of times I can't solve it. A lot of times I'm just trying options.
Yeah.
And it's not like always the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm, trying to push a shadow, trying to do the three-tone method where you get your shadow, your mid-tone, and highlight. I think it's a really effective method, but it does take a long time to get the rhythm in
Yeah.
because you're basically trying to describe 3D shapes using 3D form using 2D shapes, and it's harder than it sounds. That's what I'm saying. But Carell's done a fantastic job
Yeah.
on these thumbnails.
Those all look great.
Yeah, because everything is here. I can read the depth. There's perspective. Things are leading back, and the lighting direction. And the light direction is consistent. So I really urge you guys to try this method of composition. Throw some photos in
Talk
there.
about your setup. Are you guys cramped up on some small desks? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically my environment painting class, we start with this. We start by looking at film stills and analyzing what are we looking at and why are we looking at that. So a lot of the paintings and a lot of the compositions in movies are really, really simple. They're lines,
Yeah.
like hallways. Let me show you some screen grabs from one of the movies. Okay, so I didn't get to show Space Odyssey in my class. I think I'll just show it on the stream. here. Let's just look at the the pictures. These are screen caps or screenshots from the movie.
I love this film.
It is so amazing. But look at the lines. Look at how, if you squint your eyes and you lean back, the silhouette and the lines really tell you a lot of the story. You don't need that much details, right? I'm gonna go kind of slowly, but let's just look at it. Ask yourself two questions. One is, where am I looking at first? What is the focal point? And two, how are the lines leading my eye to the focal point? Right? So this one's pretty simple. You get the energy going down to the bottom right, and you get the skull shape. Pretty simple lines. But then look at this. Look at how beautiful the silhouette is. And the shading of the rocks, that's just a diffuse light coming from the top, really. Well, actually it's a little bit backlit, so you get really strong silhouette, dark on the top, and it gets a little bit lighter towards the ground.
So you have a low horizon line, so you don't see the top planes of the tops of the rocks.
Right. And look at this. This is 1 point perspective. One point perspective is always so nice because you get lines converging to the middle 1 point, and then you're just looking into the depth. So 1 point perspective is one of my favorite. And check this out. Clear lines with actors overlapping them. Easy to understand because you're looking at the actors and the lines are just going underneath them. They're making the straight lines are going into like a grid, and it shows depth. And these organic shapes, the silhouettes, they're wearing darker suits, but the background is like very, very light, and it's just the grid have these darker thin lines that describe the space, the environment. Just look at how beautiful the shapes are. These are all lines. You don't have these chairs all bundled together and grouped together as one, but you have these chairs that make amazing silhouettes, and then these white tables that break them up and overlap, and it's just a symphony of lines. So this is really what environment design is really, the meat of the environment design is how these lines work. You notice that there's this big half moon, this big curve that comes around. And notice the curves in this picture. There's this big moon, and then in the middle there's this line, this slight curve that goes up. It's just beautiful design. Like, it works as 2D piece. If you just take all the tones out and you just draw this as a line drawing, it will still work. That's how beautifully composed these cinematographies are. 1 point perspective with circle. I can't believe this film.
That's crazy.
Right?
It's like, where should I look?
Where should I look? What am I looking at? Painting environments is really not about painting the environment. Like, you really can't do effective painting without knowing how to direct the viewer's eyes. Without the lines, without the eye direction, there's nothing to paint. Detail is never going to make it.
That's lovely.
Just look at the color contrast. Aren't these beautiful? One-point perspective again. Something that start from the foreground and it leads back. Create these chaos of lines, but everything still works. And this is one of my favorite scenes. Because in space, there's no up, there's no down. So for the last few minutes of the stream, let's just look at this and appreciate how far we have to study to understand these things. Because we watch the movies and we never really think about it, but if you think about it a little bit, you start to understand, wow, it's quite astonishing.
Yeah.
This is an achievement.
Everything this guy did though was like this director. Like he's crazy consistent.
Frame within the frame. Right? Just because your canvas is a rectangle doesn't mean that your frame has to be a rectangle. Just look at how this is framed. It's amazing. Big shapes versus smaller shapes, how the lines converge. You get this nice white frame, like a warmer frame in the middle, and then you have this cooler frame on the outside. It's composition 101. It's a masterpiece, really. And I like the red in the blue too. I think if you take out the red, this wouldn't work as great. But the red glowy buttons, I think it's so nice compared to the teal in the background.
Yeah.
A little bit of yellow too. One of the most iconic shots. Repetitive shapes leading into the background.
Yeah.
One-point perspective.
I'd have to say though, in this entire film, the early scenes are my favorite.
Yeah.
The part where there's that big black rock with all the monkeys. It's like, holy shit. That's really good. Man, that lighting is... that's the thing I love about like some of these films where the shots didn't have like that crazy HD pixelization where like you see every little detail because you could see the value grouping so much easier.
Right. Nice frame again. The red and yellow, it's so brave. So vibrant. Yeah, this looks
More 1 point.
more one-point perspective, frame within the frame again. I just don't understand how to get to here. This is crazy.
Yeah.
The planning that gets involved. You look at the circle on the ceiling, that foreshortened, flattened circle. The ovals and the lines. Now another one-point perspective. How the organic overlaps the heart shapes.
Yeah. Loomis actually talks about this kind of stuff a lot. Contrast of line.
Mm-hmm. Lines make shapes, so we're not just looking at the lines, we're looking at the shapes, how these rectangles go into the distance.
Yeah.
And there's a little...
Because if you took all the value out of this and just put it into pure line, it would still work amazingly.
That's right. So we spent a long time talking about values, but now we're just observing only the lines. the foreshortening happening here.
I really like this scene.
Amazing colors, very trippy.
Yeah. That scene is so surreal.
Another frame within a frame. Remember, you don't have to use the entire rectangle. And I think with that, we're going to sign off on today's stream.
Yeah.
Send me your questions. I really enjoy doing this for you guys. Make sure that you do send me your work in progress. You sign up to the Discord chat. It's a small Toronto artist community. We help each other get better at art. We're basically art is impossible to do just in a like by yourself in a really just stressed state. It's something that we can work together on. And having JP here draw, that really inspired everybody else to start bringing out their sketchbook and everybody drawing together.
Yeah.
I think that's the most fun I had sketching for a while. That's why
Yeah. Well, JP has that effect on people.
it's an aura, eh?
Yeah.
He'll just start drawing, and then you see his original drawings in his sketchbook. It's just so many pages. You can't help but get inspired and feel like you want to draw too.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna head out. We're gonna see you guys Thursday for character create and paint over, and any other things. But yeah. For any of you who are new in here, this is a Talent Tree live stream. I'm Johnny Hall. This is Frank Hong. See you guys.
See you guys Thursday when Johnny does his character critiques, and we're streaming from our new office.
Yeah.
So this is like really, it's a new experience. Life is constantly surprising, and it just happens in ways that I can't really expect. I don't really know. Like this is
So it's
new.
the amazing thing about it. Like I definitely didn't see myself here. Like even last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know you're gonna be here last week?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We can't go that close. We're cutting it really close now.
Yeah. I was like moving stuff into the studio. Could you see yourself in a studio? Well, yeah, I'm kind of moving
Well,
in.
you know,
Yeah.
Now we're studio artists. Now we have a.
Now
what's it called?
now we're professionals.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks guys. You know, I really appreciate you guys dropping in.
Yeah.
You guys are the reason why we do this, and we do this every week. You know, try to take over the world.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
That's it. Peace.